Jack and Pavel, Ebling and you, 1320 WILS. Very happy to welcome in our next guest, as we do each week at this time, Dr. Aajay Shah, Mid-Michigan Heart Group and Family and Friends CPR. Hello, Aajay. How are you?
Oh, very well, Jack. Very well. How are you, sir?
Congratulations on your television appearance today.
Oh, thank you.
I enjoyed that very much.
Yeah, it was a great job Channel 6 did, and I think a lot of people are starting to understand that we have to work together as a group. And we cannot do it. This is like we always say, pay it forward, and we have to take this responsibility as a group. And I think a group has to do it, and then the next group has to do it. And I think not only it's going to be more fun to do it as a group, but also I think it's going to pretty much make everybody energetic and say that, if this church did it, why not our church? If this school did it, why not our school? I think to me, that kind of group enthusiasm will take us to the goal of 10,000. So I'm hoping that what we did on the Channel 6 as a news story will get that thing going.
And what we are going to do next week, AJ, talking with Lori a little bit earlier, we are going to have our session here in studio. We're going to have a variety of people taking part in this, and we're going to talk about it throughout the process at various points in the show. And then we'll see exactly how enjoyable it is, how much fun it is, how easy it is. And in many ways, it's one of the best investments that you can possibly make in your health and that of your loved ones.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to insist that all the radio stations I work with, they tune in to your station when we do that.
That's
great.
They
will not like it probably because it's a big competition, but I want them to tune in to your station for that an hour. You know why? Because next place we are going is to that radio station. And we're going to go through every radio station who I work with and make sure they get their staff CPR. Because if they're putting a public service announcement or an announcement about CPR, to me, I think it would be only appropriate that people who is announcing it knows the CPR. Just like you are trying to do, we're going to make sure that everyone at TV channels, at the radio station, learn the CPR. To me, that would be almost like a hypocrisy not to learn CPR but talk about it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to, you have to put your money where your mouth is, and you have to back up your actions. We saw that last week with Virg Bernero.
Yes, definitely. So.
I want to talk to you for a minute, if we can, AJ, about some other causes of cardiac arrest. We've been talking about cardiac arrest, but there are some other factors involved here. Yes.
And I think today I want to go over through some of the very simple but very preventable causes. And they're very, very common. For example, people have a high blood pressure. And one of the common medicine we use for high blood pressure is diuretic or a water pill.
Mm-hmm.
And when a person takes diuretic or water pill, their body can deplete potassium and magnesium.
Okay.
And as the potassium goes down in the system, in the body, cardiac arrest becomes very high risk. So there is almost a quality criteria by insurance company and by doctors that if a person is on diuretic for their blood pressure or for heart failure, their potassium should be checked periodically.
Okay.
And even though, as doctors, we try our best, once in a while, patient cancels the appointment or, has reason couldn't come it, and doctor was busy and appointment got canceled, and then potassium doesn't get checked because once the patient doesn't come to the visit, there's no automatic order to check the potassium.
Mm-hmm.
But if patient remembers, and this is to all our audience, if a patient is on diuretic, remind the doctor, remind the nurse or medical assistant that potassium needs to be checked at least twice a year and possibly more. And magnesium needs to check periodically. So if you happen to not go see a doctor, which sometimes happens for a variety of reasons, at least check your potassium twice a year if you're on diuretic, because if potassium is low, you are at risk of cardiac arrest. So that's the one simplest thing I can tell you.
This sounds so much like the story of someone I had lunch with today. I can't believe you're saying this. Someone whose potassium level dipped, and here you are. You're on the verge of cardiac arrest. This is exactly the story I just heard.
Yeah. No, I think this thing is an everyday scenario, and God is great that when potassium goes down, I would say 99 out of 100 times nothing happens, because body knows how to cure itself. But it's that 1 out of 100 times when the potassium is low and cardiac arrest happens, the impact or the consequences is just so worse that we don't even have it happen that 1 out of the 100 times. So I would say, just simply check the potassium, keep around 4.0.
Okay.
For the audience, it would be nice to know. So when they go to see the doctor next time, if they're on diuretic, they say, "What's my potassium?" And doctor says, "Why do you ask that?" "Well, Jack Abling told me to check my potassium." It would be just fun for them to say that. So that's one thing, the low potassium.
You had something else you were going to tell us about today in terms of a special offer.
I think, to me, a time has come for all of us in Michigan, in mid-Michigan. We are working very hard. Everybody's trying their best to get into the employment. GM is trying its best, bringing a new plant here. But I think a time has come where we all pitch in. Jack, you've been nice enough to the community that you are doing a lot of the PSA, a lot of public service announcements. You're talking to people when you meet them about cardiac arrest. Mm-hmm. You're bringing us to your station, and I think you're doing your part. I'm doing my part. But I think we need to go beyond that. So today, and this is, again, just a simple thought I had it over the last few days. I said, while some of our community members, unfortunately, are between the jobs.
Right.
You can call them unemployed, you can call them between the jobs, however you want to put it.
Right.
I think, to me, they are between the jobs because when time comes good, they're going to be back on the job.
Right.
But while they are in the between the jobs, while they have some time on their hand, I think we should take advantage of the time they have on their hand and teach them CPR.
Sure.
But while they have time on the hand, their income is very low because they are right now between the jobs.
Right.
So I think, to me, it would be almost a disservice for anyone to charge them anything for teaching them something of a life basic skill. That's how I feel personally.
Okay.
So I have made a decision that starting today, starting actually now, we're going to provide a free CPR training to anyone who is unemployed.
Anyone unemployed?
Anyone who is unemployed, we're going to provide a free CPR training. There's no catch. There's no ifs, ands, buts. Anybody who is unemployed in mid-Michigan is going to get a free CPR training.
What a marvelous use of their time while they're between jobs, as you say.
I think that, to me, they will feel that they're empowered because when they do CPR training, they're not doing it for themselves.
Right.
They're doing it for the community. So they will feel that they are contributing to community while they are in between the jobs and while they are getting the unemployment check. It would be a nice feeling for them to say, I learned CPR, I'm ready to help my community while my community is helping me while I'm between the jobs. I think, to me, it will boost their feeling and morale that, hey, at least I'm doing something which is going to be useful to my family, useful to my community. So I think, to me, let's do it. Let's start today, and I'm hoping that we're going to get all the people who need CPR who are between the jobs, we get it done before they get back to the job.
I talked to a couple members of your staff, and I talked to one this afternoon who was very excited about this plan.
Yes.
And said, this guy, he's always got something going, and this is the latest one. So, you always make it exciting, and you're adding something to this all the time. And, when you first told me about the 10,000 goal,
yes,
I said, that is really a great goal, and I'm kind of going to have to see it to believe it. And now I'm starting to believe it.
I think it's falling its place. It took a lot of, organization, thanks to you and everybody else, including all the TV channels and everybody, and thanks to the community. I think they've been very, very encouraging. Whenever I see people, they tell me that, oh, you are the CPR guy. They don't even call me a CPR doctor anymore, which I just absolutely love it. They just call me, oh, you are the CPR guy. CPR is not a doctor forte. CPR can be learned by anybody.
Well, we're all going to be CPR guys next week here, Pavel.
Yes.
We have a couple of other guests come in, and we're going to have those mannequins in here, and Lori will be here, and we're going to go through this entire process and describe exactly what's involved, and we'll be checking in at various points and then talking about it many times after that. We appreciate it very much, and check your potassium. That's the word of the week from Dr. Aajay Shah.
Right. Great.
Aajay, we'll talk with you next week.
All right. Thank you, Jack.
All right. Aajay Shah. He's a guy's everywhere, I'll tell you. Mid-Michigan Heart Group and Family and Friends CPR. Ebling and you, 1320 WILS.